Sony. Also, goddamn, 1 minute and 32 seconds of 6 logos. How much not faith can Sony have in one movie? The code for this phone is 061978. Obviously, this represents June 1978, which is important to this movie because it's the day I fell off the toilet, hit my head, and invented CinemaSins.
Let's see, open the app.
This food delivery app doesn't show any kind of menu and instead just gives Garfield the exact food he was thinking of. Not like we even saw him go into a here's what you ordered last time section. And weirdly, when we get to the desserts, it suddenly does show a menu of options. How am I supposed to believe this cartoon cat can order takeout with fake app design this sloppy?
Jalapeno breadstick quick bites.
Saying breadstick bites, but deciding to animate arancini.
No, not a treat for you. Okay.
Since we never see Garfield wearing anything with pockets, I don't think Odie wants any part of where that treat has been.
Oh yeah, drone delivery. Welcome to the future.
Is f***ing up your order part of the future too? Because I don't think that tiny bag is holding the breadsticks, jalapeno bites, lasagna, and 5 puddings that we saw Garfield order. I know sending a drink that he didn't order does not make up for that.
You know, to really understand everything, I'm gonna have to take you back to where it all began.
That's a funny way of saying the movie started at the wrong point in the story.
And like every great story, it all started on a dark and stormy night.
Once upon a time, movies believed they could get away with using lazy cliches as long as their main character was self-aware about them all. Unbeknownst to our hero, the villain insisted on sending them anyway. The end. Using scared little kitty Garfield to play at my heartstrings is working, you emotionally manipulative jerkwads. Also, if I have to watch Garfield's parents get murdered in an alleyway after a night at the opera again, I will f***ing riot! Because I can't play it, I'll just let you know That's Amore is currently crooning in the background. I share this because without that missing musical context, I don't know how you'd ever be certain this was an Italian restaurant. John seems sad because he's eating alone, but having a whole pie to yourself and not needing to negotiate or compromise on toppings is living the dream, my man.
You want a little more? Whoa, you are a hungry little guy.
John says this instead of immediately calling the Ghostbusters to deal with the latest incarnation of Slimer.
What? Where'd he go?
Garfield will now teleport around this restaurant like he's goddamn Nightcrawler. Also, there's no way these assholes don't see this cat right in front of them. They just don't care.
Well, I guess, this is where we say goodbye.
But then why did you order the family portion of lasagna to go if you didn't have any intention of taking Garfield home to eat it? Littering. John will now speed around his house like he's goddamn Quicksilver. This hallway is fucking weird. Why is it so empty? Why would you pick this spot for your reading nook? I see no nook, only wall. Movie obtained its physics major from the Wallace and Gromit School of Shoving Animals in Bottles. Also, giving chocolate to dogs. Garfield, are you trying to kill your best friend?
We're gonna need the big scale!
We've just given Liz the same amount of screen time the movie will.
Life here is pretty near perfect.
Well, yeah, except for...
Garfield hates Mondays, even though nothing that happens is exclusive to Mondays, like the weather, spiders, and pies cliche. Also, it looks like we're just remaking scenes from that other Garfield movie that came out a few years ago. Hollywood run out of... Wait, the Bill Murray one is 20 fucking years old? Ah, f*** you, time! John, it pains me to say this, but you are alone because you refuse to read anything but cat parodies of literature classics. And the pool of people who want to talk about that is so shallow, everyone's already coupled up. I'm sorry, but you may have to start telling people you like to travel. So is everything in this universe cat-themed? That seems like an unfair bias against all the other animals on Earth, who aren't selfish assholes by nature.
I think I was meant to be here tonight because I was meant to meet you.
Skip.
Faster, harder, more insane!
My college girlfriend's coital instructions somehow make it into the script. Whoa, what the f***? It's completely innocent.
You saw nothing.
Wait, was it?
There are no pets to bother you, distract you, or max out your credit card by excessively placing online food orders.
This oddly specific meditation tape makes me wonder why the movie decides to mostly ignore the fact that John is in an abusive relationship.
What are we feeling like today, huh?
I don't know, but is it f***ing food poisoning? Because with all this uncovered food, it's gonna be f***ing food poisoning.
Late night snacking.
Not good for digestion.
With the arrival of 2 talking dogs, I now have to ask why Odie appears to be the only animal in this movie that has been deemed unworthy of the American language.
Odie, I'm dreaming again. Slap me across the face.
I am not Odie in this scene. Also, a better movie might show us a watermelon or some green jello being knocked in front of the fridge light to explain this sudden green atmosphere, but this is not that better movie.
I've got John's credit card number memorized. 555-238-575-521.
Most credit cards have 16 digits. American Express has 15 because Merc, and even Diners Club has 14. You and your 12 integers are not making the cut.
Who is he? This is Vic, my father.
This discussion could and should happen after they've escaped. The rest of the movie wouldn't happen, but that's sort of my point. Also, movie makes the unforgivable oversight of casting Samuel L. Jackson as Chris Pratt's father instead of Arnold Schwarzenegger. I mean, how often will this opportunity come around? Please let it be never. Also, how did Vic know that Garfield was here? Okay, we'll eventually find out that he watches Garfield's house every Sunday, but in a little while, he'll also say,
It's Thursday.
so how did he know Garfield was catnapped in the first place, let alone this quickly?
Okay, follow me, Junior.
No.
I don't care whether or not Garfield follows him. I just wish he would do something more to escape his kidnappers than standing around complaining.
You lost the privilege of telling me what to do a long time ago.
Kids, as soon as they can talk. Movie says, Jinx just glows from time to time. Don't think too hard about it.
I'm from a small town outside London that you've probably never heard of.
Maximizing your villain's villainy by making them a British villain cliche.
I want it to matter.
We don't hear her play a single note on this thing, which means I'm doomed to never know if she put on a sucky performance or if Americans are just biased against the sousaphone.
I needed to get out. I just needed help.
Apparently, we'll just skip over the most interesting part of this story, which is how a cat managed to convince this big f*** you dog to help her break out of the pound when he seems perfectly capable of pulling this off solo.
Just 1 quart for every day I was in the pound. 4 years, 7 months, and 2 days.
1,675 quarts of milk, exactly right, Odie.
That is approximately right, but by no means can we call it exact. Okay, the 4 years part isn't too hard because that guarantees the inclusion of a leap day in February, but how does Odie know which 7 months Jinx is talking about? If the sentence started in March, then yes, it would have been 1,675 days. But if it started in July or January, then we're looking at 1,676 or 1,673 days, respectively. And yes, that was a lot of effort just to prove a cartoon dog wrong. You're welcome.
Ma'am, I think this is an opportunity to take a deep, cleansing breath and repeat your anger management mantra.
Just to note that this is the last we see of this bird, which means that this movie didn't have any issues murdering an actual bird in front of its PG audience.
Now you boys have 72 hours.
Arbitrary time limit is arbitrary because heists against the clock are fun. Okay, they are fun, but they're even more fun when the time limit has some sort of relevance beyond basic mustache twirling. Is there a member of the X-Men that can do this? Or are we now introducing sorcery to this universe as well?
Lactose Farms ain't nothing but a sleepy little mom and pop dairy. This will be a quick grab and go.
Main character says the heist will be quick and easy, which of course guarantees it will be long and arduous. At least the movie is committing to a theme.
Garfield? 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 Garfield?
Garfield. Also, John, why are your shirts in the living room?
Odie, jump, boy!
Since simply jumping onto the train was an option, launching Garfield via branch will be tried as attempted murder, including your awkwardly meta parade balloon without an awkwardly meta Macy's Thanksgiving Day parade.
Your call is very important to us. There are
1,346
people ahead of you.
Jesus, how many missing animals are in this f***ing neighborhood? This bird should not have been electrocuted. My high school physics teacher spent a lot of time explaining why, but I spent a lot of time sleeping in that class.
I'm not that guy anymore.
But I can bring back a small part of that guy if the plot needs it cliche.
Old man Lactose was forced out of business.
Old man lactose intolerance.
What makes you think he's dead?
My eyes.
He also said this about a minute ago.
And you
Wait for it.
are roadkill.
But it seems that both of you forgot.
Once you're inside the facility,
They do a Mission Impossible style rundown of everything they have to do in the milk processing plant because Ving Rhames was also in that movie with Vanessa Redgrave, who was in Deep Impact with Morgan Freeman, who was in The Shawshank Redemption with Tim Robbins, who was in Mystic River with Kevin Bacon. Also, I was going to send the egregious and no doubt expensive use of the Mission Impossible music until I realized that Sony owns the copyright on the damn thing, meaning that the Mission Impossible movies actually have to pay Sony to use their own music, and what a ridiculous simulation we live in.
you'll crawl through a maze of vents.
Okay, but how are they going to deal with that maze? Or are you just reciting a list of impossible hurdles with no productive advice?
I've made a list of skills that you'll need to master in order to break into Lactose Farms.
This turns out to be just an excuse for a training montage, or more aptly, a physical abuse montage. And while we endure said montage, you might wonder why I'm not sending the bizarre placement of these under-ear whiskers. I've thought about it many times, but if I open that particular door, I'll end up sending that the coloration and stripes on Garfield suggest he's probably not a cat at all and actually is a tiger. This would also explain the relatively huge size of Vic, and I don't think the world is ready for that revelation in the same year as Hello Kitty Gate.
I could watch this all day.
Thing never uttered from a human mouth about the Garfield movie somehow makes it into the script. Hey, that's the same date that Ringo Starr released the album Bad Boy. What does it all mean?
Wait here, Junior.
So Furzone's plan is to leave his kid out of sight while he grabs some food from the trash. Unfortunately, he's foiled by a human hanging out in the doorway. But why did he have to wait around this corner? Garfield is right there. Why not run back to Garfield and come back later? You know, the option that results in you not leaving your infant child alone and unobserved in a crate in an alleyway. Samuel L. Katzen finds Garfield, but he is clearly part of a different timeline, since this is not how we saw it go down originally. Prime timeline, John fed Garfield a couple slices of pepperoni, and then Garfield inhaled the whole pizza. Palm sitting happened before any food was consumed and was on John's left hand, not his right. Finally, the gratuitous nuzzling was not presented toward the window like this. I mean, sure, it could be an artifact of our inherently flawed memory, but the alternate timeline thing is much more likely in 2024. Also, one interpretation of this story is that Vic chose to let Garfield live a better, well-fed life with a human who would love him. Another interpretation is that he dumped his kid with the first stranger who showed him affection so that he can hoard around the city while his child is made into a new fur coat. This turned out way better than Vic could possibly have known based on this 30-second interaction.
I have concluded that you two are, in fact, ready to move forward with this mission.
We are?
How is that even possible?
Mathematically, it isn't.
This sheet is covered in sins. Oh, let me show my work. Also, this exchange felt so much like...
Well, you got me. By all accounts, it doesn't make sense.
That I had to do some digging. Turns out this was in fact directed by the same person who wrote and directed The Emperor's New Groove. I guess sometimes the difference between a hit and a miss can come down to pulling the wrong comedic lever.
It's come to my attention that there'll be an attempt to rob one of your dairy trucks tomorrow.
Meow, 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 meow.
Giving Lactose Farms a heads up is a crucial part of Jinx's plan, but how did she know it would work? At some point in her life, she must have realized that humans don't understand her, right? It's not like she could have planned for them to have a magic app that translates her meows.
We may have a situation.
Let's go have a look-see.
Introducing a new villain 50 minutes into the movie, especially when that villain is a better villain than your actual villain.
Some dogs are born for mischief, they just are. Not cats.
This lady has never met a cat. Turns out there is an app that translates animal language into human language, and this hasn't fundamentally changed everything about the world they live in.
Bingo.
So one of two things are happening here. Either Mooshin Impossible here had no fucking clue how they were going to start this heist, or he knew about this bus of school kids all along. If it's the latter, how did he find out that the school trip was happening? If it's the former, what was his plan if no kids showed up today? Is Lactose Farm so popular that there's a school trip every day? Also, this works.
Roadkill, do you copy?
Are you kidding me? They actually work?
And nothing further shall be questioned about the acorns that work as wireless radios. Just watch the cartoon and enjoy the funny cats, you plebes.
Factory workers, your 15-minute break begins now.
What fucking good is Mucellus Wallace in this heist? How does he have intimate knowledge of the internal geography of this place, including the vents, but has no clue when the workers go on break? The HVAC maniac is either A, the psycho who designed this vent system, B, my wrestling alter ego, or C, the serial killer that haunts my dreams and my heat pumps. Ah, shit, it's D, all the above, isn't it?
Junior, don't move.
He absolutely should have moved because the floor will open up and he will fall down. And not once will he bring up that legitimate gripe to Vic.
Cheddar. Probably one of my top 26 favorite cheeses.
The fact that we have more than 26 presentations of solidified animal lactations available for human consumption. The action set piece in this factory pissed me off so much that I've shoved all the sins into a brand new segment I like to call Lactation Station Frustration. This plate of cheese is traveling too far in open air for no good reason. This is an exciting thing to escape, but it is also the furthest thing from how cheese is actually factory shredded. This cheese has holes big enough to fit a beagle in. Fondue is too hot. Why is there even a fondue area? You don't buy fondue ready melted. You get the cheese and fondue it at home. If it was a fondue machine, it would be in a completely separate building to make sure that the heat didn't f with all that milk and cheese that you don't want excessively heated. This cheese is being cut too much. This machine cuts off Garfield and Odie's eyeballs for a fraction of a second, and that's just weird.
3 misguided stray pets trying to steal a truck of milk.
When you put it that way, it does sound ridiculous. And they still made the movie anyway. Marge had a quiet aside with the animators and made sure the cord attached to these keys was completely f***ing invisible until she starts to retract it.
Marge Malone.
Listen here, movie. If you think you can get away with simply calling this law enforcement adjacent Minnesotan Marge, you can Fargo f*** yourself.
What do we do?
Get those keys.
Get those keys. Wow, that's just top-notch help right there. Someone put underclothes on this box, and other things people said about my car in high school. It's animated to look like a discount Snowpiercer, but based on scale, it still seems to be a fairly standard-sized milk tanker. This means it holds somewhere in the region of 6,000 gallons of milk, which is roughly 24,000 quarts. This is over 10 times the amount that Vic needed to steal and is enough to kill several 100,000 cats over the course of a few weeks. Stop feeding milk to cats!
It was never about the milk. It was about you getting caught trying to steal it.
So if the plan was for Vic to get caught and sent to the pound, why are you guys waiting here? How did you know that he managed to escape? Or were the three of you waiting here just on the off chance he didn't get caught? How long would you have waited here? Either way, isn't it still better to wait back at your base, since you know that's where Vic is bringing the milk?
I can't believe he did that.
Garfield needs to watch fewer cat videos and more movies.
Vic, man, we've all been burned by Vic.
Snoop Dogg is playing a cat, and no one will be seated while Garfield receives the most convenient "my dad really does care about me" position to ever contrive its way onto a movie screen.
He'd leave in the middle of a job just to go see his kid.
It's good that he wants to check up on his son, but he is still not fulfilling his commitments. This still makes him a dick.
Yeah, he said he wanted to check up on him, make sure he was doing okay.
It's good that he wants to check up on his son, but he is still not providing for or doing anything to support his son financially, developmentally, or emotionally. This still makes him a dick.
He put a notch in the bark every time he was there.
It's good that he wants to check up on his son, but he is severely compromising the protective layer of bark on that tree. This still makes him a dick.
You sure he's yours? He didn't have a tag.
Uh-huh. Yeah, oh, he has a tag.
Huh? I have a collar and a tag? How long have I had those?
Oh, I'd say you've had it since the movie made sure Vic spotted it back on the train so that we'd believe this was his backup plan all along. But if it's so well hidden that even the Pound people didn't find it, how is this a good backup plan? If they can't find it, then they can't contact John. So tag or not, Vic is still relying on John to do the legwork and call the right Pound, and at a time when Garfield is there.
The John who was on hold is dead! Do you understand?
The truly f***ed up thing is that we can all relate to this, yet for some reason we haven't revolted against the bourgeoisie.
And if you have young children, this would be a good time for them to leave the room.
We'll never see it, but Garfield winds us up like he's about to f*** this lasagna, and a writer made that choice. John just spent 2 days trying to get his house cat back, and he leaves the fucking front door open so he can just wander out and get lost again? Cat or no cat, it looks like these two were headed for an accident no matter what.
He left a notch. Yeah, right.
I didn't count every one of these notches, but I did comfortably get to over 800, and that's plenty enough for this takedown. Earlier, Garfield said Vic had been missing for 5 years, and the Pound Cat said Vic visited every Sunday and left a notch for each visit. Well, 800 Sundays would be 15 years, not 5. So maybe he visited multiple times a week, but I think it's more likely that I'm the only human who bothered to count all the fucking notches in this scene to see if they made sense.
Oh, come on!
Complaining that the explosive dessert you made decided to explode.
She's going to throw him off the Mile High Bridge.
A plan so complex that it required these storyboards that would later double as convenient instructions for Garfield to know exactly what to do next. But he can't decide whether to steal the finale from Mission Impossible 1, Back to the Future Part 3, or Broken Arrow, and somehow settle on all three and none all at once. These drones show up in the nick of time, blaring the Top Gun theme so that they can deliver food with extreme prejudice, and remind us of the time Maverick and Rooster went up against fifth-generation fighters in an old-ass F-14 and prevailed. The whole thing was very thrilling. I guess I wish I was watching that movie instead of this one. Apparently Garfield ordered a box of glass shakers full of chili flakes from the restaurant. Why would they even make that available through the app? Like, the restaurant needs those for their customers, right?
Yeah, in case you were wondering, I do my own stunts.
Garfield making the interesting choice to join the ranks of the Hollywood elite who continually f*** stunt workers. Okay, this is turning out to be a lot of food. How was Mama Leone's able to prepare this much food so quickly? Also, I'm pretty sure that even when drone delivery is a thing, they won't be delivering to speeding cargo trains that I'm pretty sure don't even have passengers on board, which is probably for the best given that Chris Pratt would find a way to wake up the hot ones and ruin their lives. Garfield does a no-look fall from a great height with an excessive amount of unearned confidence, and it works. Since they jumped from the back of the train, it should no longer be anywhere near a place that would make it possible for them to land back on it. But they will, because this movie don't give a f***.
No, don't throw them over just yet!
For the love of God, why not? Please, just kill them already. Sorry. I mean, villain has some romantic idea of what the perfect death looks like, so our protagonist has time to work out a way to escape.
Sorry, my rescue didn't work out.
No, you gave me another chance. That's all that matters.
To be clear, what Vic is saying is that his son's imminent death is totally fine because the most important thing is that he forgave him first.
What are you waiting for?
Their love for one another indicates that despite their current circumstance, they are at peace.
This might seem like a sudden change of heart, and it is, but the fact that I don't have any clue why they're working for Jinx in the first fucking place makes it a lot easier to swallow. No, none of that is a compliment. The villain of the movie isn't bested by any of our heroes, but instead by a lack of spatial awareness. This would be like Hans Gruber tripping out of Nakatomi Tower before he had had a chance to grab Holly. Oh hey, this non-sentient rope net knows that she's the villain and trapped her more than anyone else. Neat.
Cut 2.
The end? Can we cut to the end? How is this not the end? So it looks like the Ocean's Kittens team is exchanging Ethel's freedom for Jinx and that stolen truck of milk. But unless they kept that engine running this entire time, I don't think that milk is going to be much use to anyone at Lactose Farms.
I just need to finish something up here.
This tree fucking hates you.
My medium is cuisine. My colors are flavors.
My medium is this movie ending.
Dinner is served.
Honestly, John, I don't know why you're so shocked. You let your fucking pet cat cook dinner. Expecting me to believe this delivery was delivered to John's door in seconds and not into his neighbor's tree in 17 different pieces and a week late. This Olive Garden bag is a lie. The entire movie they've been ordering Italian food from Mama Leone's. Wow, this movie just refuses to leave. I've cleaned up all the empties and put on my pajamas, but it is still sitting on my couch talking about Marcus Aurelius. I'm going to bed. You can let yourself out. I don't think an end credit scene has ever been more wrong.
Human sacrifice, dogs and cats living together, mass hysteria.
Dear Diary, my food dish is now only half full. It is obvious that I will soon starve to death.
Drone delivery. Welcome to the future.
I am not against drones, but do it somewhere else. It's not a necessary service here.
Are you crying? There's no crying. There's no crying in baseball.
Are you an angel?
I'm Batman.
I don't see you for years. And when I do, you pull me into a life of crime.
See, crime. Murdered.
Come on, Odie.
This ain't fat. This is all foreskin.
I want you out of my life. Forever.
Bullshit. It looks to me like the best part of you ran down the crack of your mama's ass and ended up as a brown stain on the mattress.
If you can dodge a wrench, you can dodge a ball.
Wait here, Junior.
I gotta take a dude.
It just sounds like some cat prank calling us.
Sir, you have no call to get snippy with me. I'm just doing my job here.
And just so you know, I'm up for either.
I think she likes you.
What do we do now?
We do this.
It didn't work, bitch. I'm still alive, motherfucker. That's right. You can't kill me, motherfucker.